look up. No more running from the bad guy. I'ma stare him in the eye like, what's up?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 29 of my Story, My Strength Challenge. I started from my healing, but I'm sharing every single day because someone else might need to know that they're not crazy. They need to know that they're not broken. They need to understand that they're not alone, because healing isn't pretty. It's not perfect, but it's possible. And every day I show up, I'm not just surviving, I'm reclaiming a piece of myself. So every day that I do come, I'm just reclaiming something that was taken from me. If you're here listening or watching, thank you so much for being a part of this space. Just showing up, it really means that you're doing the work. And that means a lot more to me than you know, even when it's hard, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. So you guys know I have to give a trigger warning out. This episode contains sensitive content involving childhood sexual trauma, grooming, and emotional abuse within the family. Please take care of your mental health. Pause if you need to, and come back when you're ready or if you're ready. Again, if you need to walk away from this episode, please walk away, because this is not meant to traumatize you. It's meant to help you understand how healing can work. So when you're a child, you don't really realize how bad this world can be. Like you're 9, 10, you're playing with your cousins. You get picked on a little bit, but you don't realize how badly the world can be. And if you're lucky, you grow up shielded from a lot of the darkest parts of life. I wasn't that lucky. I learned real early that even when people say they love you, they can cause a kind of trauma that changes everything about what you think about reality and about that person. And sometimes the ones that hurt you, they're the ones that's supposed to protect you. I think I was about 9 or 10. It was before my dad passed away. He was getting older, in his 70s. So he was too sick to care for us. So we were with my mom more because we used to spend a lot more time with him when I was younger. 9 and 10 was when he started to, be able to say, I can't do this anymore. So I started spending more time at my mom's house. Now, my mom's house was always the fun house back then. I got in trouble. Yeah, things happened, but we were allowed to be free because my mom was a free spirit. She wasn't so deep in the church like my dad was the pastor of the church, and my grandmother was basically one of this second in command, and we couldn't watch anything but Veggie Tales and PBS Kids. My mom let us watch BET, and it was more of a free house. She liked to party. She liked to party and live life the way she wanted to live her life. And one night, she and my aunt decided to throw a barbecue. This one was at my aunt, because between my mom and my aunt, they both had these big houses with these huge yards. And this time we were at my aunt's house. No special reason, just because they was grown. They wanted to hang out and have fun, drinking, doing what they did. They loved to party. When I say they used to love to party, they used to love to party. And it was one of those days that started off really good. The sun was shining. We're from California, so the sun's shining, music, laughing, joking, kids running around in this big, huge backyard. We were all getting along. It was one of those rare days when no one was making fun of me. No one was fighting or being mean. We were just able to be kids. And it started off really good. But when the sun started to go down, so did the energy. By this time, the adults were drunk and stopped playing. They stopped paying a lot of attention to us. So most of us, we kind of stayed on the side of the, in the back part of the yard. And we figured out how to be quiet enough not to get yelled at or told that we had to go in the house. So we just kind of blend in. So we knew that no one was watching us, but he was, apparently. He was my mom's first cousin, so he was my second cousin. And more importantly, he was a grown-ass man. He was someone I'd been around my whole life. I grew up around him. He was, maybe a year or so older than my mom. And he was someone that I thought was safe. And that's how they kind of get you. They blend in. They smile in your face and they make you feel like, family, because he is family. He called me over like he hasn't had before, gave me a hug, and then would leave, but so I didn't think twice when he did that. I mean, again, he was my cousin and I was a kid. At this point, I hadn't been violated in that way by any men. So I didn't think anything about men looking at girls that way. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't realize, I didn't know anything about what my dad did to my mom. I didn't know anything. So I went over there and he asked me how I was doing, normal stuff. And I smiled and started talking to him, telling him, You know how my day was, like I always did, but then he started rubbing my back, and I didn't pay any attention at first. It was a little weird, but I still kept going, talking to him, and then he starts rubbing down further, and then it got even more weird, and I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't know why, because at that age, I don't always recognize when something is wrong, but your body knows before your brain does. So I kind of froze, and he looked at me differently. He was more quiet and focused, like he was waiting for something. Then he sat down on the stairs, and he tried to pull me to sit in his lap. So I kind of stiffened up, like, no, I didn't want to. My whole body tensed up because something deep in me screamed that it wasn't right. It was like, no, this isn't right. And then I saw my mom. She just came out of nowhere. She's running and screaming, asking him what the hell he was trying to do to her daughter. And then my aunt pulled me away, and all I could do was watch. And my mom, she did not hold back. She beat the hell out of this man. She, beat him with her hands. She grabbed a crowbar. She hit him with a crowbar. Anything that she could, she's stomping and kicking. And she went like way out. She really, really, really did. I thought she was going to kill him. And I remember feeling confused and scared, but also, I felt seen. I felt like she chose to, believe me. Because even then, anything that happened, they blamed me, oh, you're lying or whatever. But that didn't last long, because right after that, while she was fighting him, my aunt's yelling at me like, what were you doing with him? What were you doing with him? And I was just like, he told me to come, trying to explain what happened. And I don't know. What are you asking me? I'm a kid, And then when she was done again, she turned on me. She grabbed me by my arm, and she's whooping my ass. And she's screaming at me like, why'd you let that man touch you like that? Because by the time she got to me, he was actually groping on me on my butt, on my ass, and rubbing on my thighs and things. And that's, I was kind of like, but she's like, she blamed me. Like I'd done something wrong. Like I knew what was happening. I was just a little girl who didn't understand what was happening. But now I was being punished for it, and I had to stop to think about it as an adult. She was drunk, not trying to make excuses for her, but she's drunk and she's seeing this happen to her, And then my aunt, she's calling me fast, telling me that I'm out here being fast with these men, said I must have been doing something to make him look at me. And she told me that I need to stop being too grown. And I'm like, how the hell is a 9 or 10-year-old supposed to know what I'm doing to make a man look at me like I'm grown? What the hell kind of shit is that? I didn't even understand what being fast meant. I was a tomboy. I dressed like a boy. I climbed trees. I ran around. I had cuts and scars. I fought with boys all the time. I climbed in the house and jumped off the roof. Like, I don't know what being fast is. All I knew was that he was someone who was supposed to love me, and instead he tried to violate me. And the people who saw it, and they should have wrapped their arms around me, and they protected me, but instead they punished me. It was one of the few times my mother did protect me, and yet she still found a way to hurt me at the same time. And that kind of pain stays. Like, I understand she was frustrated and mad, and I now get what happened to her, but I didn't do that. That kind of pain makes you question, will you ever be safe? So the way I thought about this, well, no. Let's start with the question. I have a question, my reflection question. Have you ever had a moment where someone defended you, but still hurt you in the process? Like they took up for you, but then turned around and yelled at you for getting yourself in that situation. How did that confusion impact your ability to trust others, especially those closest to you? So the negative mindset that I had, even for a long time, as I internalized the belief that I was responsible for the way people looked at me, that maybe I invited it. Because again, throughout my years, I have been sexually assaulted more than once. So I'm like, okay, I'm responsible for the way people are looking at me. I'm inviting this in some kind of way. And that if that happened, that something bad happened to me, it was my fault. It was because of me. I told you I had someone who I thought was a friend. She just called me a rapeable bitch. That was her nickname for me. One of her nicknames, stalkable bitch, rapeable bitch, whatever it was, because that was something that kind of followed me and I didn't understand why, but that was a lie. So I had to reframe that lie was never mine to carry. The responsibility for someone else's perversion, for their abuse, their decision to violate me, that has nothing to do with me, nothing. I was a child, and children are never to blame for what adults choose to do to them. I've stopped bending myself. I've stopped. I stopped, trying to find a reason to blame myself. I stopped breaking myself for shame that doesn't belong to me. I speak up now, not just for myself, but for the child who didn't know what was happening and didn't know how to speak up for herself. Because trust me, I do not play when it comes to protecting a child, not even my own children, anybody's children, because they don't understand. The affirmation that I have for myself is I am not what happened to me. I am not the lie they told to protect their guilt. I am power in its purest form. I am power in its purest form. I take my voice back now. I am not what happened to me. I am not the lie they told to protect their guilt. I am power in its purest form, and I take back my power now. So now we're at the mini coping session time. This tool today is called Empowered Confrontation Visualization. This is not a conversation that you need to have in real life. So you don't have to talk to anybody about this with this. This is for you to reclaim your voice without risk or re-traumatization. This is your moment in your mind to say what you never were able to say before. So close your eyes, and picture the one person who hurt you or blamed you. Picture just one person. If it's more than one, find the one that you want to focus on for this exercise. And imagine them sitting across from you, unable to speak. Their mouth is, that see no evil, hear no evil, say no, speak no evil. They have that over their mouth so they can see you, they can hear you, but they can't speak. They can't interrupt you. They can't gaslight you. They just have to listen. Speak out loud if you're able to, and say exactly what they did to you. Let them know how that made you feel, and say what that cost you. If it's someone who stole your money, a bully from when you were a child, if that's who you need to focus on, you need to sit them across from you and tell them how it felt when they violated your boundaries and took something from you that belonged to you for their own selfish reasons. Whatever it is, you speak it now, and then when say what you need. Just say what you need. The apology, the protection, the love. Say whatever you needed. Well, what you needed to hear. Finish with this though. You don't get to define me anymore. You don't get to live in my head rent free. I release your power over me right now. Then visualize your safe space and reclaim what was stolen with your voice. Now, like I said, everything that we do on this, all of these grounding techniques and all of these tools, these coping skills, and this is something that you're going to have to practice on a regular basis. You're not going to do that the first day and then be fine. There's going to be times when you're probably going through a PTSD event or some type of traumatic event where you might have to then go back and tell the person who's causing this, who's the focus of that trigger. You might have to do this with them. But just close your eyes, picture that person, imagine that they can't speak to you. Say what you need to say, then say what you feel like they need to say back to you. And again, end with that statement. You don't get to define me anymore. You don't get to live in my head rent free. I release your power over me right now. Release them with love. You got to watch that episode. So here's the 1 minute challenge time. Yay. Write down one family dynamic or pattern that tried to silence or shame you. So something in your family that your family is known to do that's tried to shame you, whether it's the way you live, your sexuality, what you believe, anything about your life or a family dynamic or pattern that they tried to use to silence or shame you, something that you know that they are. Like my family's very into church, or anything that's not according to that Bible, they will shame you for that all day. Something that you were told never to talk about, something they made you carry in silence. So if someone did something to you, if something happened to you and they told you that you couldn't talk about that you had to care to write that down. Now pick one platform, your journal, social media post, a poem, a song, and tell it in your own voice. Me, I'm choosing my platform. I'm coming on social media, YouTube, Twitch, and I'm telling my story. I'm trying to figure out how to do it on TikTok from my Chrome, but they don't like Chrome. I have to have a actual Microsoft software type computer. So I'm working on that. Then I'll be on TikTok as well. And on you tell a little story in your old voice. Do not protect their reputation. Don't sugarcoat your pain. Tell the truth for you. Even if you don't publish it, even if you don't, do anything with it, but just to share your story, create it. Break the code of silence today. Your truth has power, so you need to use it. Because I published mine. I wrote a book. You can find it in Amazon, The Place to Belong by Perry Jasper. Go look for it. It's really, really good. It's more graphic. And again, not every story that you hear today is going to be in that book. You guys get to dive a little deeper. I'm trying to think if there's even a story in that book that I'm telling you today. So no, you guys are getting extra. Hey. So let's go to our survivor spotlight. Today I'm going to honor Miss Marissa Alexander, a symbol of what it means. She is a symbol of what it means to survive abuse and then be punished for daring to survive. Okay. A Florida mother of 3, college graduate, and hardworking woman, Marissa was also survivor of a horrific domestic abuse situation at the hands of a man who was known to have a history of violence. So 9 days after giving birth to her premature daughter in 2010, Marissa found herself cornered and threatened and once again by her abuser. With nowhere to run and fearing for her life, she fired a single warning shot, just one, into the wall. She did not hit anyone. She did not harm anyone. She fired a warning shot in the wall, but that moment changed her life. Instead of being protected, Marissa was prosecuted and sentenced to 20 years in prison under the Florida's harsh 10-20 life law. Right. Her case sparked a national outrage. She was a Black woman, a survivor who had been criminalized for doing what any of us would try. I would do it, just trying to stay alive. This man is already my abuser. Like I didn't shoot him, Her story became a turning point in the conversation of how Black women are punished for protecting themselves. After international support, legal battles, and tireless advocacy, Marissa's sentence was overturned, and she served 3 years in prison and 2 years under house arrest. But instead of disappearing, she became a force. I mean, it's sad that she even lost 3, both technically 5 years of her life because of this situation, but it turned her into something that she can now use to fight for legislative reform. She speaks on the realities of domestic abuse, and educates others about how race and gender shape injustice in America. So Marissa, you didn't just survive your abuser, you survived the system designed to silence you. And instead of shrinking, you rose. You turned your pain into policy, your wounds into wisdom, and your isolation into advocacy. You remind every Black woman who has ever been told, just deal with it, that silence is not your only option. That survival is not something that you should be ashamed of. It's something to be honored. So Marissa, thank you. Thank you so much, Marissa Alexander, for standing firm in your truth, for fighting the system for fighting when the system told you to surrender, literally told you to surrender, for shining a light on what so many suffered through in the dark. You're not just a survivor, you are a liberator. You are a legacy, and your legacy will ripple down through generations of women who now believe survival is not only possible, but it is powerful. So women like me, because I didn't serve as many years as you have, but I have been arrested for fighting back. So I get that. We have to understand that the system needs to understand that you can't ask us to accept abuse and then arrest us. Well, you can't tell us not to accept abuse and then arrest us when we don't. When we have no other choice but to fight back, even if it's firing a warning shot in the air, no one was harmed. Like, come on now, people. But that's it. That's it for day 1029 of My Story, My Strength. If you've seen this episode, if you felt seen in this episode, if you're tired of carrying shame that isn't yours, or if you're healing from the kind of hurt that nobody likes to talk about, this is your space. This is your space so that you'll know that you're not alone. You are never alone, and you are never to blame. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Empowered Voices Finding Strength in Survivors, and explore more of my work through Linktree. That's going to be in my YouTube bio. Today was my first episode with my new co-host on our raw and real talk show with our guest, Lady Poet, and you guys tune in. I'm saying, like I said, this is a stage for real, authentic. Mistakes are all welcome because we're human. This is the non-perfection zone. If you don't mess up, you're a robot. No, I'm joking. So just let's subscribe to my channel so that you can keep up with all of this stuff. Now Sundays, I have Miss Cassandra, Coach Kiss Corners every Sunday on my channel, Empowered Voices, Finding Strength in Survivors, along with this daily challenge. Oh my God, I lost myself there. I'm sorry, you guys. I've been getting attacked, and these attacks keep coming. But you know what I always say when I get those attacks? I will never give up. I'm not going to give up. Okay, so share this with someone who needs truth louder than silence, because your story doesn't end in pain. You guys know what I'm going to say. Your story doesn't end in pain. It begins in power. I will see you guys tomorrow for day 30. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love you and stay strong.
Heard you looking for a hero. Well, look up. No more running from the bad guy. I'ma stare him in the eye like, what's up? I know the journey got hard for a minute, but I ain't giving this up. Yeah, I got the heart of a champion. If I get knocked down, I get